尔是科学家，
比尔是科学家，
比尔是科学家。
科学定律，
比尔是科学家，
惯性是物质的性质之一。
比尔
是科学家，
倒数7秒，计时开始。
比尔是科学家。
Yo, what's good? I'm back with my raspy ass smoker voice to destroy your soul and give you free therapy. So, anyways, I had a bit of a crash out recently. And by crash out, I mean the kind where you stare at the ceiling at 2 a.m. like you're in some critically acclaimed indie film, despite the fact that your life is objectively nowhere near that aesthetically pleasing. Just raw emotional tax evasion, and the reason being stupidity, honestly. My body hurt, that's it. Not in some dramatic anime protagonist way where I'm coughing blood into a handkerchief while violin plays. Just boring, annoying, deeply inconvenient pain. One of those days where your body just randomly decides that, hey man, today we file complaints. And I just sat there thinking, God, I wish I didn't have to deal with this. That thought hit harder than expected because usually I'm pretty good at pretending I'm fine, which is basically emotional duct tape. But then I started thinking, if someone asked me what I wanted most in my life, I'd probably say money, creative success, a car I absolutely cannot afford, a physique that does not resemble the guy who survives primarily on caffeine and bad decisions. Just normal things. But if I'm being honest, the first thing that came to my mind was I wish life felt easier. And that realization sucked because it made me realize something deeply embarrassing. I had started identifying with struggle, not overcoming it, not fighting it, identifying with it. Like pain had quietly become part of my personality. And once I noticed that, I couldn't unsee it. Because this does not even have to be about illness. That is just the flavor of suffering this month. For some people, it's heartbreak. For others, it's insecurity, failure, anxiety, being stuck, that weird inability to start the thing you know would improve your life. But whatever, everybody has a thing. And if you're not careful, that thing becomes your entire identity. You stop saying, I'm struggling with something, and start saying, this is just who I am. And that is dangerous because once pain becomes identity, improvement starts feeling like betrayal. There's something weirdly comfortable about victimhood, which sounds insane until you think about it. Because if suffering becomes your identity, then failure makes sense. Then not trying makes sense. Then every time life kicks your teeth in, you can go, see, exactly, this is just my life. Which is convenient and also horribly depressing, but it is convenient. And I realized that I had been doing this subtly, not dramatically. I wasn't walking around in a black cloak whispering about fate, but mentally, absolutely. I had quietly created a ceiling for myself like, yeah, I could try harder, but yeah, I could pursue that, but I could become more, but there was always a but. And let's be honest, most of us are carrying around giant emotional butts. Okay, that sounded awful, but I'm gonna keep it in anyways. Because I started asking myself, who would I be if I stopped using my struggle as an explanation for everything? And that question made me violently uncomfortable. Because the honest answer was, I don't know. And that's terrifying because what if the pain isn't the thing keeping you small? What if the mindset is? That's worse. Because then suddenly responsibility walks into the room, and responsibility is annoying. It's like that one uncle who touches you every time he meets you, which also is what I hate. But like, it means maybe you have more control than you thought, and it means maybe you can't blame everything, because blaming circumstances is so much easier, way easier. If I'm the victim, then I am absolved. No expectations, no pressure, no responsibility, just me and some self-destruction. But if I'm not, then I actually have to do something. Very disgusting. So naturally, I started running. because apparently my coping mechanisms are evolving into psychological warfare. Now I hate running. Running is one of those activities humans pretend to enjoy because admitting otherwise makes us look weak. Nobody has ever genuinely smiled while running, unless they were being chased by me or clinically unwell. But I kept thinking about it, and whenever I obsess over something, I have learned something important. My brain will not shut the hell up until I do it. Same goes for ideas, projects, goals. Not exes though. If this video somehow convinces you to text your ex, don't do that. Absolutely not. That's between you and God and me. Anyways, every time I ran, it sucked. I felt awful, nauseous, exhausted, questioning every life decision that led me to voluntarily move faster than necessary. But weirdly, that was the point. Because I wasn't running because I enjoyed it. I was running because it proved something. That discomfort did not own me. That pain did not automatically mean stop. That I could still choose action even when every part of me wanted comfort. And comfort is sneaky because comfort doesn't feel dangerous, it feels safe. That's why it works. But comfort teaches you absolutely fucking nothing. Comfort has never made anyone stronger. Comfort has never built discipline. Comfort has never dragged anyone towards greatness. Comfort is just emotional junk food. It tastes great, ruins you slowly, and that's how I started slowly realizing that maybe my obsession with feeling okay was making me weak. Because strength isn't never hurting, it's functioning anyways. Not perfectly, not heroically, just anyway. Here's the uncomfortable truth, alright? I think part of me genuinely liked having the excuse. Not consciously, but deep down, yeah. Because if life is hard because of circumstances, then I never have to confront what I had become without them. That's horrifying because maybe the thing limiting you isn't your circumstances, maybe it's your relationship with them. And listen, this isn't me saying suffering isn't real. That would be unbelievably stupid. Some people genuinely have harder lives. That's reality. Pain is real, trauma is real, limitations are real, but identity, that's where things get dangerous. Because if you start introducing yourself to your pain, you stay here and you stay there forever. And I had this realization, I would rather be someone who fights through hell than someone who built a home there. Wow, I think I just made that up. Holy shit, that was fucking deep. That changed something inside of me. Because strength isn't some aesthetic montage, it's ugly, messy, inconvenient. Strength is getting up again while looking like absolute garbage. Strength is trying again after failing. Strength is not needing the perfect conditions. Strength is choosing effort when excuses would make more sense. And maybe that sounds dramatic, but genuinely, what separates people isn't always circumstances, sometimes it's interpretation. Two people can go through hell, one collapses into identity, the other turns into fuel. That difference matters, and I think I'm done romanticizing helplessness because at the end of the day, I can be tired, I can be hurt, I can be discouraged, but I do not have to be defeated. Those are the different things. And I think for the longest time I confused them. So maybe this is less about discipline and more about identity. Because the question isn't, what happened to me? The question is, who am I choosing to become because of it? And honestly, that answer scares me, which probably means I'm finally asking the right question. And if you're thinking of reasons right now that are standing in your way, you're here. You could be here. Anyways, see ya.